Good morning, everyone. I just want to confirm very quickly that everything is working correctly. There's a little reaction button on your screen. If you can hear me and see me, please give me a little thumbs up. Perfect. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. There may be a few stragglers, but I can admit them as we go on here. But I do want to get underway to be respectful of everyone's time. So some of you know me, some of you don't. My name is John Sproul. I'm the content management consultant here at OE Canada, and I'm going to be your presenter today. I'd like to start by thanking you for taking the time to attend our webinar, The Digital Advantage, How DocuWare Drives Organizational Efficiency, and I hope you're looking forward to learning more about document management and workflow automation today. A little bit about myself to start. I've been with OE Canada for just over a year now, but before joining the team here, I was the general manager of a small manufacturing business just outside of Waterloo. Having had the opportunity to manage day-to-day operations at a small business myself allows me to better understand the challenges that many organizations are facing today. I know how difficult it is to attract and retain good people, keep track of everything you need to know on a day-to-day basis, and keep your organization moving forward. My experience as a leader also offers me a unique perspective around how the implementation of a document management solution such as DocuWare can help drive business forward. Looking back, I can think of several instances where a system like this could have saved me significant time, effort, cost, and headache. We'll have some time at the end of today's session for questions, so please feel free to add your questions to the Q&A window, and I'll respond at the end of the presentation. With that, let's get started. So the first question we want to answer is, what is document management? The one thing that I hear most often when I mention document management is, I already have a solution. And when we dig a little deeper, that solution is typically a network drive or cloud storage system. While starting down the path to digitization is important, true document management is so much more than just a simple storage solution. This unique platform is a powerful productivity and efficiency tool. It takes those stored documents and drives them through automated workflows, digitizing your processes, ensuring that the information gets where it needs to go as quickly and effectively as possible. You minimize human error, complete tasks quicker, and gain oversight about where all work currently is in the process. This ensures that nothing is overlooked and you're working as effectively as possible. Thinking about your organization today, do you feel that contracts are delayed because you're frequently waiting for internal and external signatures and approvals? Are you regularly missing out on early payment discounts on your invoices or incurring late fees because your team is manually collating purchase orders, packing slips, and invoices? Are employee certifications expiring and you're left scrambling at the last minute to ensure that everything is up to date? These are just a few of the areas that document management can help. So, what slows the pace of companies today? When we consider the bottlenecks that impact most businesses, there's a few obvious culprits. Information is scattered with little cohesion, physical and digital documents are often duplicated, and it's difficult to find the most current or relevant version. It's increasingly difficult to find the right people for job openings, and budgets are tight. This means that your existing team members are often asked to do more without always having the most appropriate resources and tools. Security protocols vary wildly, and in some cases, there are only minimal guidelines around best practices. Did you know that in 2020 alone, there were over 700,000 cyber attacks against small businesses, and this accounted for 46% of all cyber attacks? The cost of these attacks, $2.8 billion in damages. Finally, the digital tools that we use can be frustrating and difficult to navigate, causing team members to resort to more time-intensive, manual, and disconnected processes. So there's a lot of technology options out there. How can DocuWare help? So the first thing I want to talk about is digitization. This is your starting point, and a lot of people refer to this as paperless. That's a pretty good basic description. The goal here is to move all of your information into a digital format so it can be more easily indexed, searched, accessed, shared, secured, and archived. We don't have to get too deep into the problems with paper. It's expensive, slow, and or less just a pain to deal with. Digitization drives efficiency. This is all about cutting unnecessary costs out of the bottom line and doing the same volume of work with fewer resources. My guess is you've done a lot of this cost cutting already. But we all know there's a limit, and if you're like most, you're looking for the next level. Document management at its core takes the information that's now digital and makes it more useful to you, your team, and your entire organization. Finding things is easier, security can be locked down, workers can work on whatever device they have on hand from anywhere with an internet connection, and compliance or just plain old audit preparation is far easier. This new level of information empowerment drives productivity. The ability for your organization to do more with the same resources. It's not solely about cutting costs, but ensuring workforce hours aren't lost to tedious, manual, draining tasks. Our customers love this, and they talk about it all the time. But what really starts to move the meter for your organization is workflow automation. Now you can take all of that digital information and completely automate where it goes, who sees it, when it needs approval, who gets notifications, how it's archived, and even when to dispose of it. Imagine your team only interacting with the information they need when they need it. Suddenly your team is not just productive, they're effective, ensuring everyone is executing the most important, valuable work that really moves your organization forward. It drives what all leaders talk about: business innovation, great employee experiences, and game-changing customer engagement. DocuWare enables efficiency, productivity, and effectiveness by capturing, processing, and using your business information. The capabilities of document management fundamentally shift your business into a new pace of productivity and execution. First, you move from a world of lost, disorganized, scattered information to one where documents and data are available at the points of decision. Automating repetitive, tedious tasks lets your team accomplish far more and focuses workers on projects that matter. Security across the board is improved, from system infrastructure to individual document control. Compliance mandates are addressed with ease. And finally, enough with the heavy, complex software. Use technology on your device of choice from wherever you are, with a user experience built to get things done. So, what are some of the common use cases for DocuWare? In our accounting and bookkeeping teams, we can automate the digitization, processing, and archiving of all incoming invoices and remove slow manual steps in finance. Employee records, we can securely centralize employee records and use workflows for onboarding, reviews, tracking certifications, and more. For our customer files, we can store all customer correspondence, manage versions of contracts, and set up workflows for digital signatures, giving you a 360-degree view of your customers. In the mailroom, we can digitize incoming mail for easy distribution and retrieval. In our sales teams, we can keep marketing materials and sales documents like proposals and presentations right at your fingertips, even when you're out on the road. On the operations side, we archive critical planning documents, prepare for and respond to audits, maintain regulatory compliance and privacy standards. The before and after is crystal clear. Today, records are scattered across file cabinets, email inboxes, shared drives, Dropbox, and more. With DocuWare, you've got a single, centralized, organized, and securely stored business record. Today, you've got overwhelming administrative effort, manual tasks, time-consuming searches for information. In DocuWare, tasks are automated, reducing manual processing time to ensure maximum team productivity. From a security standpoint, we've got security gaps, painful auditing, ungated information access, and compliance nightmares. In DocuWare, full audit readiness, complete security, and compliance adherence. So what type of immediate benefits can we expect to see when we implement a document management platform? The most obvious is an immediate reduction in the amount of paper within your organization or department. We also know that our teams will be working with the most current and relevant information. Thanks to indexing capabilities, we'll be able to find any document anytime, exactly when we need it. Getting approvals and moving documents to decision makers will now take a fraction of the time. The security of your business critical documents will be significantly increased, and you'll be able to better ensure business continuity regardless of external factors. Finally, your team will have a seamless work experience using the same tools no matter where they're working from. I'll just give you a quick second here to look over this slide because there is a little bit of information there. So, what do our customers have to say? Ian Nicol, the finance manager at Talbot Marketing in London, says the number of documents we print has been reduced by 90% as electronic processes have been put in place. More significant than our cost or environmental savings is our ability to ensure orders are being processed in a timely manner and accounts payable invoices are processed efficiently. In Guelph over at Skyjack, Jeff Wilson, the IT manager, says DocuWare has been instrumental in advancing our quest for a paperless environment. By streamlining repetitive tasks, such as purchasing approvals and shop floor work orders, it has significantly improved efficiency, reduced paperwork, and enhanced visibility across departments. The majority of our documents are scanned into the system through OCR and various workflow steps. Index entries are updated so the user can easily navigate and track documents. It's a key tool in our digital transformation journey. So with that, is everybody seeing the presentation slides? Maybe give me a quick reaction. Okay. I do apologize. I've got one individual in the room that is not seeing the presentation slides. I will ensure after the presentation that I send a copy of the recording out, and I'm about to transition into the demonstration here, so hoping that you'll be able to see that, as generally that's the most interesting part anyway. So with that, bear with me here while I switch over. All right. All right. So if I'm not mistaken at this point, everybody should be able to see my my demonstration environment here for DocuWare. Terrific. All right. On the left-hand side here, I'm going to give you a quick overview of what we're looking at. And well, I just want to make sure. I'm going to turn my camera off for this component. There we go. All right. So what we're looking at here on the left-hand side is what we refer to as our document tray. This is very similar to what you would have on your desk at the office, just a plastic tray where people come by and throw all of the various paper items into the tray throughout the course of the day. This is where we're going to collect and store all of our documents, and there's a number of ways to get documents into this tray. We can do a simple drag and drop. We can do a import from email. We can scan directly from our multifunction print device. That is something we can set up. It's a one-button scan where you would put a piece of paper in the feeder, push a button, and it would send it to this document tray. And we can also click the import button and grab a folder directly from, or grab a file directly from one of the folders on our computer. On the right-hand side, we've got our document viewer. So when we double click on any document in our tray, this is where we're going to actually see that document and be able to review it. The nice thing about the document viewer in DocuWare is it's not limited to simple text documents. So things like PDFs and Word. We can look at CAD files, design files, images. There's a huge range of different file types that we can view in this viewer. So it means your DocuWare isn't limited to just words. So going back to the left and working across the top from left to right here, we've got a number of options. The first is our document trays. The second is our search window. This is where we're going to be able to recall all of that information as we go on. Then we've got our lists, which are predefined search functions. They allow us to keep track of where things are at in the process. Then we've got our tasks, which is where we'll monitor activities that have been assigned specifically to us. Folders, if you like a more traditional view of your data. And forms. Forms is a different one, and it's not always there. It really depends on what you want to do with DocuWare. DocuWare is the ability to create web forms that you can share internally and externally to collect different information. So with that, I'm going to jump back to the start here, and we're going to take a look at how contracts, one of the ways that contracts can be managed within DocuWare. So the first thing we need to do to get any document actionable is actually store it within our cabinet. So we're going to click the store button here, and that's going to bring up a number of index fields here. So the first one we need to fill in is our contract type. For the purpose of this demonstration, we're going to select car lease. These lists are all fully customizable. We tailor them specifically to your organization and exactly what you're trying to do with the information. So when we get into the rest of the field, we've got contract partner. In this case, I can type in car lease limited. Now, I made a typo, and this is obviously something that happens to all of us. We're working, we're trying to get things done quickly, and we make a mistake. This is why manual entry is less than ideal in most situations. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use what's known as one-click indexing. So I'm going to click on the information that I want and drag across, and it's going to automatically populate that information into the field. This is great because it absolutely cuts down on the amount of keying errors that we all are subjected to on a daily basis. So we're going to do that for the rest of this contract. I'm going to grab our contact name. We'll run down here and we'll grab our email address. For the subject, we'll just use the name of our vehicle. We don't really have a project for this one, so we're just going to skip that one. We grab our document date. The nice thing about the date fields is that DocuWare will reformat them. So if that was typed out as September 20th, 2024, it would convert it to the correct numeric values. So our contract start date's here and our end date is here. Reminder date, normally we would put this at some point in the future right before the end of the contract. But because this is a demonstration and we want to actually see how this is going to work, I'm going to put in today. And a neat little trick here for those of you that don't know, and this works within DocuWare, but also most places where you'll find a date field. If you press the letter X on your keyboard, it'll automatically populate with today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and store this. And what you'll notice is on our lists here, we're going to get a badge icon letting us know that we have something that we need to be paying attention to. So when I jump into our lists, I can see that we have a reminder regarding our car lease. Our reminder date is today. So I'm going to double click that and bring it up in the viewer window. We can see in the viewer window that our contract is here, and it's now time to evaluate this and decide if we want to go forward or, what do we want to do. So at the top here, I have a number of stamps. And I'm going to put a request feedback stamp in here just to get this process moving. We'll pop that on our document. That's now going to create a task for us. So when we jump into this task, we need to decide who needs to provide the feedback on this. In this case, it's going to be our manager, and we are looking for approval on this. And we just need to know if we should renew this lease. So I'm going to confirm that. And right away, what you'll notice is our task drops off. We now have two badges here in our lists. One is telling us that we have a document out pending feedback. We can see that Elizabeth requested feedback, and here's the feedback request. So if I jump over here to myself, acting in the management position for this particular demonstration, I have a task pending. So when I double click on this, I see the contract. I can take a look. I don't think we want to continue the lease with this car. So I'm going to reject it. And I'm going to ask, please get a new offer. And we're going to confirm that. That drops off my task list, leaving me with no new tasks. And if we go back to Elizabeth, she now has the information she was looking for back. So normally this would be a paper-based process where Elizabeth would go over to my office, either sit down and have a discussion or drop the document off. If I'm not in the office and she drops it off, I may overlook it for a few days because I'm tied up with other things. This way, we always know right away that there's something that needs to be done and we know exactly where it's at. So Elizabeth can jump in here now and see, okay, so we've rejected this. We'd like to get a new offer. So Elizabeth can confirm this, closing out the task. And if we jump over here, again, we've got all our stamps. We're going to put one more stamp on here to remove this from the reminder list. Now what we want to do is share this with our car leasing company. Obviously, we don't want all these stamps and all this information all over it. The nice thing about DocuWare is that we can just turn them off. So this is a nice feature that we can send out nice clean versions or see nice clean versions of documents. So I'm going to click our share by email here. We want to share it in the original format. As soon as I click share, it's going to go ahead and pop open an Outlook window for us here. There's my contract attached. If I double click that, we can see that all those stamps and all that information is no longer there. And then we can send this out to whoever we need to send this to get a new offer. So we'll send it out to our leasing company. The other thing I can do with my stamps here is I could change this reminder date and say, pop back up in a week, just so that I don't lose track of this one and I'm aware of where it's at in the process again. So if I jump over here, and what I want to do is I'm going to jump very quickly into the search here for just a moment because I want to show you how that looks. So we have a number of different options here. I can look for documents that were stored today. And if I do that, it's going to bring up any document in the system that was stored today. I can narrow these search fields down. I can search every document in the database at once by just clicking search with no fields. So the reason I show you this is when I bring this up and we go down here to history, the nice thing from an audit perspective is that when I go into the document, I can see every single interaction with this document, who touched it, what day, what time. So it gives me a lot of transparency around how my documents are being interacted with. I can see that it was stored by Elizabeth and it was opened and there was an edit to the index data. There were edits to annotations. And I can follow this all the way through and just sort of keep an eye on how things are being handled within the organization. So again, that goes back to compliance and audit preparedness. So that's sort of how a contract moves around in DocuWare. Again, these are all tailored to your specific instances. So next, what I want to show you is how it manages signatures. And I really like this. We're going to jump over to Fred in our sales department for this one. So Fred's got here a business service agreement. Oops, sorry, I might have somebody. Yep, sorry, a late join there. So we're going to quickly do that. So we've got our business service agreement here. We can see that it's going out to a company called Flying Tom. Our contact name is Thomas Rain, and we don't have an email address in here yet. So instead of downloading this, editing it, and reloading it, we right-click on our document. I'm going to click Edit here, and this is going to go ahead and open this in Microsoft Word for me. From here, I can say I want to send this to myself. We can change our name. This is maybe a template agreement, so we'll need to update the information here. And we'll also change this to Canada. Oops. All right. So when we save this, it's going to save it directly back into DocuWare. So I close that out. And when we double click on it again, we can see that those edits I made are now in the document. So again, I'm going to go ahead and store this. For the signature status, we want to send this for signature right now. This is an important contract. We need to get it signed. Signature configuration, I'm going to be using DocuSign. There are a couple other options that you can use here. The nice thing about this is often in an organization, you've got multiple DocuSign licenses. We can reduce those. In DocuWare, you only need one master DocuSign license because you're going to track which users are getting the signatures through DocuWare. Our document type is a business service agreement. We're going to use that one-click indexing again. There's no subtype for this one. We've got our agreement number here. Document date will be today. Company name is going to be OE Canada, and that's me. That's my email address. And for the project, we're going to say that's the Leisure Park roller coaster. And everything else we can just leave blank for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and store this one. So again, we're going to be looking at our lists because what's going to appear on our list is a document waiting for signature. Now, this will take a second because it does kick out to DocuSign and then back. So we now have one document out pending signature. So from here, if I jump over to my email, and that may take just a moment for it to populate, we're going to get an email from DocuSign letting us know that we have a document that we need to address. There we are. So I'm going to click review here. That'll open a browser window. This is a familiar interface to most businesses. We'll scroll down. I look at the contract. Everything looks great. So I'm going to say, sure, yeah, we're all set here. And we'll sign that. Just move that up there. And we'll throw a date on there. And I can finish that now. So I've now signed my agreement. I've done my part. If we jump back to Fred here, and again, wait for just a few seconds for it to come back from the DocuSign server, our list will update. Sometimes I can hurry this along if I'm a little impatient. Nope, today it wants me to wait until it's ready. So there we go. So now it immediately moved from waiting for signature into my signed documents. If we click this business agreement now, we can see that there's my signature and there's the date. So again, we have that immediate feedback. We know immediately that everything we needed to complete is completed. So again, I really like that because it gives us a really quick sort of return on where we're at in the process. And without logging into DocuSign and using multiple systems, we can really keep a good handle on where everything is at. So the last thing that I want to demonstrate this morning is the accounts payable process. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to our accounts payable bookkeeper, Peggy. So again, we've got our document tray here, very familiar. I'm going to grab our US Steel invoice here. Now this looks a little different because you may see this green line here and then the yellow bar on the document. So this is set up a little bit differently than the ones we used before. Where we used one-click indexing, this module has been set up with auto indexing or intelligent indexing. So when I click store, DocuWare has already captured all of the information on this invoice automatically. I don't have to manually do this. We set up intelligent indexing and then we help you train it to recognize your documents and grab the relevant information off of them directly. This is a huge time saver in the accounts department. So the nice thing too is that when I click on a field, and I want to know where did it find that. If I click on invoice number, you'll see up here in the top right corner of the invoice, it's now highlighted. And I can do that for everything. Order number, it highlights our purchase order number. Subtotal, it highlights down here to let us know this is where it's picking up the information. Now for this particular document, you can see it's already grabbed all of our column items here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to really quickly delete these because I want to show you something interesting. So the first time you get invoices, you are going to need to get the information in. So right now we're going to grab our item number. We're going to grab our description. We've got 10 of these ordered. Our unit price is $32. There was no back order on this one, so we'll skip that. These come each, and our line total is $320. So instead of going down every single column and doing this manually, you'll notice that I now have a purple button that says autofill table. And when I hover over that, we see these triangles pointing down the columns. So when I click this, it's going to work its way down the columns and grab all of the information it can find and populate it with all of the fields pre-filled for us. So again, a huge time saver and another way in which DocuWare really helps to minimize and mitigate errors. So I'm going to go ahead and store this. And this is going to trigger a task for us. And I did forget to show you that there are 2 open purchase orders and one of them just dropped off because the system has gone out and done what's known as a 3-way match. And I apologize for not showing you that before it disappeared on me. So we store our purchase orders in here, and as the invoices come in, the system will match a purchase order, packing slip, and invoice to verify that all the information is correct. So when I jump over here, I can actually see that this has done a 3-way match. Now, if I want to know exactly why it's done a 3-way match, down here in my tools bar, I have a related documents, and one of them says multi-way match documents. So if I click on this, it's going to give me a list of all of the documents that make up this particular order. So I've got my packing slip here where we place the order with our supplier. I've got my purchase order that we sent out to our supplier. I've got my packing slip confirming from my shipping department that it's been received. And then I've got my invoice from the supplier. So going back to completion, we'll click on that there. And we want to complete the process. So I'm going to move some things around here just so we can see a little bit better. The nice thing here is in the middle, it tells me all of the information that we have on file. So we've got our subtotal, which has been assigned to our GL inventory account. We've got our sales tax, which again has been assigned to our taxes account, and our freight expense, which has been assigned to our freight account. All the cost centers were for the production department. Once we verify that all of this is correct, we can simply confirm it. And I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And it's going to create another or add to another list here, which is ready to export. So I now have our US Steel order is fully complete. We can export this now either directly into our business accounting software. We can export it as a CSV file and load it up ourselves. And when it enters the accounting software, it's going to already include all of that relevant information, all of your ledgers, ledger accounts, and the dollar amounts. This is another way that we can minimize those simple keying errors. We're often processing huge volumes of information within our accounting departments, and that can lead to the occasional keying error. And I know from my own experience that was one of the number one things. Nothing was more frustrating than getting to the end of the month and realizing somebody had, inverted a couple of numbers and now my books are out and I spend entirely too much time going back and dealing with that. So that brings us to the end of our demonstration. I'm going to quickly jump back into here and bear with me just a moment as I get my PowerPoint back up here. All right. So Everyone should be back on the slides now. So just looking back at the demonstration, sorry, I'm going to get my camera back on there as well. So looking back at the demonstration, we took a look at the simple, intuitive, user-friendly interface. We saw how easy it is to not only store but recall our documents thanks to our metadata and one-click indexing. The robust search capabilities allow you to search for documents using any number of index fields so that you can find exactly what you're looking for, exactly when you need it. We saw how team collaboration and the transfer of information is streamlined and effective. Every member of your team is always working with the right version of a document, and processing delays are virtually eliminated. The audit trails on the document allow us to see exactly who has interacted with each document and what happened to it at each touch point. This provides full audit transparency. Details can be quickly updated and documents sent for review and approval immediately. On the accounts payable side, we looked at the intelligent indexing tools that help to minimize or eliminate keying errors and ensure accuracy. We also saw how the multi-way match capabilities help to automate tedious manual collating processes. So why invest now? According to Nucleus Research, content management returns $8.55 per $1 spent to small and medium business customers. The key value drivers for these solutions are increased user productivity and cost savings from redeployed staff or avoided additional hires. So I'd like to provide a real-world example here. In my previous role as a general manager, I found myself in need of an additional bookkeeper. I spent hours of time posting ads, interviewing potential candidates, and researching. What I found was that to onboard a new qualified team member with a minimal flight risk, I was looking at an annual base salary of at least $60,000. We all know that base salary is only part of the equation. When you factor in benefits, employer contributions, and agency fees, you're easily looking at $80,000 or more in the first year alone. The other factor I always think is worth noting here is that as a manager or leader of a small business, we often devalue our time. It's not uncommon to put in long extra hours getting a project completed or doing research, and we rarely factor our time into the overall cost of a given activity. This means that costs are generally higher than we calculate if we were to account for our time in a meaningful way. Implementing a document management platform gives your existing team the tools to work more effectively for a fraction of the cost of adding a new staff. So that brings us to the point in the presentation where I have a little bit of time to answer your questions. If you haven't already, please feel free to enter them in the chat now, and I'll do my best to get to your questions as quickly as possible. Should we run late, I will respond directly via email to anyone that asks a question by the end of the day. So I do have a question here. DocuWare appears to be cloud-based. Can this application be used and stored locally on-site only and not be cloud-based to meet our cybersecurity compliance audit? That's a great question. We do primarily demonstrate the cloud version of the software, but there is an on-premises version as well. Interface is very similar, but you can host and store your information on site on your own local servers. So again, when we talk about that, there's a little bit of a different process in onboarding and getting you up to speed. You do need a bit of an IT department of your own. However, we do provide full support and are able to assist with that. We have a number of customers existing that use that now. And again, it is for those compliance audits. This is common in sort of legal applications, and healthcare often needs to be very specific about where their information is stored. Sorry, I have another question. What other software programs can DocuWare integrate with? QuickBooks, for example, the possibility of custom integration with online systems connects with other business management needs. So another great question. DocuWare is very easy to integrate. We can integrate with a number of software platforms. Obviously, most accounting and ERP platforms. There is one thing I like to note here is that the costs vary pretty dramatically. Something like QuickBooks or Sage is quite easy to integrate with. It's very popular. These are platforms that lots of companies are doing things with. But when we get into sort of specific, unique software, we can do it, but there will be some potentially unexpected costs associated with that. Not unexpected. I mean, we're able to plan them out with you right up front, but I like to be clear that there are additional costs on top of sort of the base costs. So, but we can absolutely do it. We have the resources and the people. Another question that I had earlier that I wanted to just quickly address. I know a lot of the time when people buy software, after the sale is complete, you're often left working with the software company instead of the company that initially helped you with the onboarding. OE Canada operates a lot differently in that regard. We handle all of the troubleshooting in-house ourselves. So when you need support with your software, you reach out to OE Canada, and we're the ones that will help you directly. If we need to liaison with DocuWare beyond that, again, we act as a intermediary on your behalf, so that you're not waiting for service ticket responses and you're able to continue working as you need to. And I have one more question here. Can the application be used and store other file formats other than standard PDF and DocX, like pictures and video? Absolutely. DocuWare is a very, very robust platform. There is a huge amount of information that it can store, and that viewer window that we looked at earlier on the right-hand side can open and view all kinds of different file formats. The one that I was always most surprised about was AutoCAD files. So these are sort of, shop design files and things like that, and blueprints and the like. So just a huge number of different things that we can take a look at. You did ask about video. There is no video player in DocuWare right now. You can store video files within DocuWare, but there's no way to preview them directly in DocuWare. Just waiting 1 second here. So what's the process like for digitizing large stacks of physical files from archive? So normally what we recommend is that our primary goal is to optimize our go forward processes. We absolutely want to get that historical information in there. Normally you're going to want to get, a dedicated person, whether that's a co-op student or a temporary agency or a part-time person. We can help you set up directly from your multifunction print device. As I said earlier, that scan to DocuWare option, you can, with a single click on or a single tap on your control panel, you can import information directly from the scanner into DocuWare and get it into the tray. And then you can go about sorting it. The nice thing about DocuWare is that when we looked at those search features, and I didn't point it out specifically, but there is what's known as a full text search. So the full text search allows you to search every document in the system for anything that you think is relevant on that document. So if it's an old contract that we scanned in, for example, and the contract number, typing that into the full text search will return every instance of that it found that number, and highlight on the documents where it found that number. So it's a great way to search that archived information that you don't necessarily want to go through and fill out every single index field. So yeah, somebody did actually just follow up and ask if it works for the scanned documents. It does. And in personalized live demonstrations, one of the things I really like to show is I take a picture of a document with my cell phone, email it to myself, and send it to DocuWare. From DocuWare, I can use that one-click indexing on a scanned or photographed document. So the OCR within DocuWare, which is the optical character recognition, is very, very powerful. And then I have a very specific question about, does DocuWare support the job costing module within Sage 300? You're going to have to bear with me. That one I'm not familiar with. I will look into it, and I will get back to you on that one in an email as soon as possible today. I apologize for not having that answer right off the top of my head. It looks like, I'm just going to double check. It looks like that's all of our questions. So with that, that's really all is there contact management or CRM abilities? There are some what we'll call CRM adjacent capabilities. Oh, and one more question. So no problem. We've got time. About the CRM and contact management abilities, there are some sort of pseudo capabilities. You can use it as like to store correspondence and track emails and track certainly follow-up dates and things like that. So it can be used as a definitely somewhat of a CRM. The only thing you lose really is the reporting and the reporting and the like, you know, the funnel process and things like that. But we can help you connect it to something like Salesforce so that we can use it to archive all of the communication and documentation, you know, in a more manageable way. And did you have one? Is there one more question then? I'll answer this last question and then we'll get wrapped up for the day. How does DocuWare stand out from M-Files? That's a really good question. It is quite different. What I find, and we actually do offer both platforms. We can do M-File installs as well. I really like a lot of things about M-Files. It's important that I don't ever sort of put down my competing platform. I don't like to do that. What I find with M-Files is M-Files can do most of the things that DocuWare does, but it requires a lot of add-ons. So it requires a lot of add-ons and additions in order to get to that same level. M-Files allows a little bit more user management in a slightly more intuitive way, if that makes sense. This goes into sort of the back end and setting things up. Personally, I find the back end's just a little bit easier than DocuWare, but not to the point that I find DocuWare difficult. Certainly, we stick with you and help train you and make sure you have a full understanding. You'll have an administrator on staff that can do lots of tasks within DocuWare and update it and tweak it. That might be a little bit vague, but I can certainly connect afterwards to discuss a little bit more in depth about the differences between DocuWare and M-Files, if you'd like. So with that, that's really all I have for today. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us. What we've looked at this morning is really just a fraction of what DocuWare and document management has to offer. You don't need to adapt your current processes and way of working to DocuWare. We customize DocuWare to match and enhance your current processes. Everything you've seen today is merely a template, and we can tailor DocuWare to meet your specific needs. If you'd like to learn more, please reach out and we're happy to talk. Thank you very much. And I hope you all have a really great day. Thank you, everybody. Bye now.